Kevin Federline is breaking his silence again, and this time, he's rewriting one of the biggest headlines of the 2000s, the real money he made from his marriage to Britney Spears. For nearly 2 decades, the world has believed he walked away with millions, an easy payday, a jackpot divorce settlement, a lifetime of child support checks that made him rich. But now, Kevin says the truth is far less glamorous, far less profitable, and far more complicated than anyone ever imagined. And in his new memoir, You Thought You Knew, he's laying everything on the table. For years, Kevin was portrayed as the gold-digging ex, the backup dancer who married the biggest pop star on Earth, had 2 kids, and then cashed out big when it all fell apart. But according to him, the real number is shockingly low, somewhere between $1 million and $1.3 million. That's it. Not tens of millions, not Britney's fortune, not a retirement plan, just a little over $1 million spread over years of support and alimony. And Kevin knows exactly what people think, that he walked away financially set for life. But now he's pushing back, claiming that the public has always misunderstood the math, the cost of living, the responsibilities, and the reality behind being the full-time parent of Britney Spears' children during some of the most chaotic years of her life. Inside the memoir, Kevin breaks down the money with brutal honesty. He says he was pulling in $20,000 per month in child support for their sons, Sean Preston and Jaden James. That sounds massive, but as he points out, child support isn't profit. It's the cost of raising 2 kids in Los Angeles, a city with some of the highest expenses in America. On top of that, he received $20,000 per month in alimony, but only for half the length of their 2-year marriage. After that window closed, the checks stopped. He writes, "People hear figures like that and think you're financially set, but the reality is far from that." He insists rent, childcare, school costs, security, and everything else consumed the money quickly. And perhaps the most surprising revelation is this: Kevin never touched Britney's fortune. The ironclad prenup made sure of that. Every dollar he received was support, not a settlement. Kevin says he lived more like a regular dad with responsibilities, not a celebrity with millions. But the world never saw it that way. And that image, the public narrative of Kevin as the lazy ex living off Britney's success, has haunted him for years. Of course, Britney's camp isn't staying quiet. Following his memoir claims, Britney's team accused him of trying to cash in now that child support is ending. Britney herself fired back, calling his statements gaslighting and accusing Kevin of using their sons to protect his image and justify the money he received. For her, the timing is suspicious. Child support for both boys has ended. Both sons are legally adults. The checks have stopped. And suddenly, Kevin is rewriting the financial history of their relationship. Britney's supporters online are echoing her reaction. Many argue that Kevin has benefited for years from her fame, her income, and her silence, and now he's trying to soften his public image before the world moves on. Others say Kevin actually was the stable parent during Britney's darkest years, especially during the conservatorship, and that he deserves credit for raising the boys out of the spotlight. But this is not the first time Kevin has been accused of milking the Spears name. At one point, reports claimed he was receiving up to $60,000 a month after adjustments and legal negotiations. And in 2023, rumors exploded after Kevin moved his entire family to Hawaii. People speculated that he only moved because Hawaii lets parents collect child support until kids turn 23 instead of 18. Kevin denied that, but the internet didn't buy it. Meanwhile, Britney's financial world is also under scrutiny. Despite being a global icon, her net worth sits around $60 million, surprisingly low for someone who dominated pop culture for 2 decades. Insiders say massive legal expenses, years of limited control over her own money, and high-cost living have chipped away at her fortune. But Britney still has huge earning power. Her memoir, The Woman in Me, became an instant bestseller, selling millions of copies worldwide. And insiders claim she's already in early talks for another book deal, one that could be worth millions on its own. But underneath all the money talk is something deeper: the complicated, fractured relationship between Britney and Kevin. Their marriage lasted just 2 years, but the fallout has lasted nearly 20. They share 2 sons who have grown up watching the world dissect their parents' mistakes, their finances, their custody battles, and their personal struggles. And despite everything, Kevin insists that writing this memoir wasn't about attacking Brittany. It was about finally telling his side. He writes about the early days of their relationship, when Brittany was one of the biggest stars on the planet, and he was just a dancer trying to navigate fame, attention, and sudden fatherhood. He describes the whirlwind romance, the chaotic media frenzy, the pressure, and the cracks that quickly formed in their marriage. He even admits that he wasn't ready for the spotlight. He was overwhelmed by the life Brittany lived every day. He recalls Brittany's emotional breakdowns, the paparazzi chaos, and watching the mother of his children struggle under scrutiny no ordinary person could survive. He talks about feeling helpless, confused, and scared for their kids. In the book, Kevin writes that he was trying to protect his sons, even when that meant making decisions the public misunderstood. But Brittany's fans say he used her mental health struggles to win custody and secure long-term financial support. Kevin rejects that, insisting he stepped up because Brittany couldn't. The book argues that he never intended to be the villain. He became one because the world needed someone to blame. He also writes about the emotional cost of being the father of Britney Spears' kids, the attention, the judgment, the pressure to act perfect, the guilt when things went wrong. He claims the money he received wasn't a reward. It was survival during a time when he was raising two boys under circumstances the public didn't fully understand. And yet, no matter how much Kevin explains, there will always be doubt. Britney's side has its own truth. Her fans believe she supported Kevin far more than he admits, emotionally and financially. They believe he benefited from her struggles and built a life off her fame. They believe he owes her more than gratitude. He owes her honesty. Now, years later, the two live completely separate lives. Brittany is rebuilding her career, her writing voice, and her independence. Kevin is remarried, raising more children, and trying to fix his public image. But the shadow of their marriage still follows them both. And that's why his memoir is such a shock. He's not just revisiting the past, he's reshaping it. He's challenging everything the public thought they knew about him. And whether you believe him or not, one thing is clear. The financial story of Brittany and Kevin is far more complicated than tabloids ever reported. Kevin ends his memoir with a message that has already sparked controversy. He writes, "Money never made me the villain. Misunderstanding did." For some, that's an honest confession. For others, it's manipulation. But no matter what side you fall on, one thing is undeniable. Kevin Federline and Britney Spears will forever be tied together, not just by marriage or money, but by a shared history that the world can't stop dissecting. Even after all these years, their finances, their choices, and their past still make headlines. And now, with Kevin telling his side in 300 pages and Britney ready for her next chapter, the story is far from over.